Hello, my name's Taku. How's it going? I'm here to show you how to make your first world avatar. So, I haven't streamed for a while, so I'm a little bit nervous. But yesterday, I made a nice tutorial for myself to follow, to show you on a video, or this live stream or whatever. So, you want to make an avatar for World, right? That's not just like a PNG that you just uploaded and it bounces around the room. So, first things first, you need to get a copy of Flash. You gotta go through all this setup process, all this jargon here. So, set up. Get Flash. Easy. Once you got that, you should have this funky program here. The next thing you do, you gotta go over to the Discord for the World Club server. Head on into the pins. You see this here, the tweaked SDK for Whirled. So what you do with that, you download that, nice and easy, just click the link. There it is. The download button's right there. You download that. Wait for it to load. Is it gonna load? Oh, whatever. Alright, so when it gets downloaded, right? I'm just gonna take this one because it's being silly. So you got it downloaded. Okay. Hold on. Alright, so you got it downloaded. What you do, you put it where you think it's gonna be safe and where you can go back to it when you need to. So I just put it in this tutorial folder. You extract it to its own folder. Well, okay, you don't need to. Okay, so you got the world stuff, you got all this stuff. This is just basically all the stuff you need. You don't need too much after this. So you've got a copy of Flash now, and now you have the SDK downloaded. Hold on a second. My chat's not showing on the phone. Ooh. My chat's not showing. Oh, there I am. Alright, cool. So we got the SDK, we got Flash. The tutorial says we gotta do the class paths next. And that's very easy. So, to do the class paths, you want to go with your with a document opened already. Just any document, you don't have to worry about the size or anything. You want to go to Edit, Preferences, Compiler, and then you want to set up these source paths here. So what I'm going to do is just quickly let you have a look at this. So you got 3 of them here. So you click the plus, you go to your folder, you find out where you saved it. So you go to where you saved it, you go to World, Contrib, SRC, AS, select folder. You go through all 3 of those and do those. You don't need to worry about the library path, and you don't need to worry about the external library path either. Just the source paths. That's all you need. So now you got the paths set up, you got Flash, and you got the SDK. So what's next? Cool, okay. So, oops. New document. So when you make a new avatar, your width for the stage should be 550 and 400 for the height. And then you want 30 frames. So we got a new document too now. So it should be the right size and everything. Next, what I'd recommend doing is setting up your workspace. So like moving this around, moving around all these tools, so it's how you wanna have it. So I'm just gonna quickly show you how I like it. So I like the properties in library over there. I take the colors and swatches. I take the align, info, and transform as well. Merge those together. We don't need this one. And we don't need this one either. Then I put this one down there. Oh, hold on, I want to merge these. There we go. It doesn't matter what order these are in. And then we'll also need this one called scenes. This is where all the states for the avatar is going to be. But yeah, I've got my own preset up here, so it looks like this. You can save your workspace, or you can just use one of these or whatever. I've just made one called Whirled, so it looks like this. So that's how I set up the workspace. So what's next? What's next on my little tutorial here? So we set that up. So, the big question, what are we going to be making today? So what you can do, you're in layer 1 already, so you just want to type in here, main, and then you make another one. State default, I spelled that wrong. Default. So you can set this, if you right click the layer, you can set it to be a guide. So when you publish it, it doesn't show up or anything. So you can just draw and only you will see it. So if I want, I could just draw. Just draw a circle. It's Kirby. There we go. There's Kirby. So we're gonna be making Kirby. I'll just go on here and get a picture of Kirby. We'll use this one as a reference. So you can just copy that, stick that in there. Move it around using your selection tool. Delete that. Alright, so we got Kirby. He's going to be a nice and simple character to make. I'm going to put him just over here so he's out of the way. So we can lock this, so we don't have to, so we're not able to move it or draw on it anymore. You can also hide it if you want when you're not wanting to look at it. So yeah, we leave that locked so you don't draw on it by accident. So we got what we're gonna make. Next, we want. Oh wait, we gotta get the code. We get the code for the avatar to work. So you can find that in the SDK. You go through here. In the examples and avatars, your avatar is a README. It has code in here, which you can copy. Go to the main. Make sure you're on layer 1. You can also rename it to main as well if you want. You can push F9, brings up the code, and there it is. That's all that is. See, what I also like to do with this is put the width here of the stage. And then we can also go in here. Scroll down a bit. I'll put the code down here for this hotspot code. And we get the speed code as well. So your hotspot is half of the width of the stage. So 275. And then the height, we'll figure out in a moment because I haven't even. Alright, so to get the height and everything, and to make life a little bit easier, what you can do, you can make a guide here. So this line going vertical, I've used the align tool, aligned it to the stage, and I told it to be right in the very middle. So when you're drawing your avatar, it will be dead center, making that a lot easier for you. And this bottom line here is where he's going to be standing on. So what you want to do to get the y-axis of the hotspot right, you see when I move my cursor around, you see this y number? You want to place it right about there. So that'll be 370, roughly. So 370. This last number is the height of your name tag whilst you're playing the game. Right now I had it set as 400 because that's as high as it would go. Well, it can go higher, but that's as high as the stage goes. So if it's Kirby, you could probably get away with like 200 or something because that's like halfway up the stage, way above Kirby's head. I'll leave it as 400 for now. So we got some basic code. We got the main. We got default. Ready to draw. We got this as well. We can also lock this. Set it as a guide so you can't see that anywhere else. So now, we start creation. I think so anyway. Let me just double check. So we've done setup. We've got down and put the code in, done the hotspot. Yeah, stage 2. We're ready to build. You can make a guided line. Yep, that's for the hotspot and stuff. So, what you want to do, when you're making your character, you want to separate them into different pieces. I'm just going to color grab this a second. There we go. So Kirby, he's very simple. That's why I chose him. So you got his body. And then we got his... Wait, hold on. He got his face. It's going to be a very cursed Kirby, just for the tutorial's sake. So we got his face on a different layer. See, his face and body are 2 different layers. Nice and simple. We're going to give him his feet and his hands. So I think for his feet I could just do something like this. I'm not going to teach you how to use all these tools. It's something you need to learn. Like, you need to have experience yourself, like just messing around. You can spend all the time you want playing with the tools and see what they do. I just need to teach you how to do the avatar itself. Alright, so that's his foot. Could color it red. Let me put it where we want it. It's going to be a very ugly Kirby, but it's going to work. It's up to you to make it look good. So we got, if we're in Kirby's position, this would be his left foot. And then you want to put the right foot. There we go. There's his right foot. And squish this a little bit. Make it look like it's the front foot, like that. Alright, so it's either the front foot or the left foot. Depends how you want to call it. Your right foot. I'll give him an arm as well. So we got R, left, R. I'll give him a little triangle on. Fill it in. You can bend the lines and do however you want. There you go. So he's starting to look like Kirby, right? Just about. Copy this. Put it behind. Flip it. So you can't tell me that's not Kirby. So now, we have our character made and drawn. The next step is to turn each of these layers into symbols. So we've got his left arm selected. Convert to symbol by right-clicking it. You name it left arm. That one's done. Left foot. Face. Body. Right foot. Right arm. Right arm. So now all of his parts are within symbols. So with the symbols, you can't draw directly on top of them because it'll just not work that way. So what you want to do, if you want to edit a symbol you've created, you can click on it, make sure it's selected, double click, and it'll enter the symbol. So now you can draw on it and edit it all you want. See? Perfect. You can change shapes and all that whilst you're in there. And then you just double click outside of it to leave it as well. A different way to enter a symbol is you can go to the library and basically go through any of these. So I want to edit the face. So now he's got that mouth. Perfect. So yeah, you can either double click in there or you can do it directly on there. Like that, if you so wish. There you go. So, rotation circles. This little thing that you might accidentally click on. This is either called a rotation circle or like a pinpoint or something along those lines. It basically tells the symbol where the rotation point is. So I put it up there so it rotates around that point. If I put it down here, any angle I grab it, it will rotate around that point. So ideally, when you're making a character like this, you want to make it rotate where it makes sense. You can go through and do that for all the parts if you want. This is optional, you don't have to, but it just makes it easier to pose later. Stuff like the face you don't really have to worry about because it's right in the middle of the body. And the body itself you don't really need to worry about it. Just like on the limbs that are coming off the body. So we got the character made in symbols now. Nice and simple. How far are we now on this thing? So, okay, so he's posed and he's got all his individual layers and symbols and stuff. So yeah, I was talking about how you have to double click, optional rotation circles, yep. Double click, yep. So, we haven't done the instant names yet, so, well. How you get to the instance names is, once you're on this, you go into the properties, and then if it's like a movie clip, it will have the option to put an instance name in it. You can use graphics, but I always have my stuff set to movie clip. So then, whilst that's there, movie clip selected, so you can put right arm. The reason you do this is because if you want to do some cool tricks with some code later, and you want it to call, like you want the code to like know where things are, like with the instances, you name the parts correctly. So the arm would be like right arm. And then if I had code in the main, I can say, hey, go to this. Basically, it's hard to explain, but it makes sense in my head, and it'll make sense later. But right now, you don't need to worry about that. That's just optional stuff. Like left arm. I think the code messes up if you just put body, so I'm just gonna put torso. Because body is like a form of like code word. So don't say body in the body, just put torso or something. It's weird. Left foot. So let me go through these. Right foot. Alright, so I named all of these in the instance names. You don't have to, but I did it anyway. Alright, so we should probably see if this actually publishes and works and stuff in Whirled. So we want to save it. I'm going to save it in my tutorial folder, wherever that may be. That one. So, Kirby example. So when you publish, you want to go to your publish settings. You want to turn off the HTML thing because you don't need that. And you can also have it take a screenshot of your thing as well. So you can have a thumbnail, or maybe later on you can make a thumbnail yourself. But I'll turn it on for now just so I can have it automatically make one. So yeah, Flash, you don't need to touch any of these settings right now. PNG, you can leave that alone after you toggled it on or off. You click OK. You can do Control S to save, or you can just go here and save it. Then when it's ready, you can either export as movie, I think, or you can just click publish. I'm just going to click publish. And then you'll go to the Whirled game, Whirled Club. You want to upload. So currently, you're going to have to request to be able to have an upload permit. So you need to show, or you need to open a ticket. I think it will give you a pop-up saying, oh, you can't do this, please make a ticket so we can tell you that you can make stuff. So you basically show them a screenshot that you're currently in Flash making something, and then they should allow you to afterwards. So once you got your permit, upload. You go to where you saved it, you get the SWF file, put that in the first box. Then you get your thumbnail, and that goes in there, save. So now he's in the game. I can click around, he's not animated yet because we haven't done that yet. But he's in the middle, he's where you should be, all the hotspots are correct. So where I put the hotspot is where he stands. That's what the hotspot is, by the way. If you click, he'll move his hotspot directly to where you clicked. His name height's at 400. So I could just show you real quick what it would look like at, let's say, 150, if I were to guess. If I save again, publish, after changing that little bit of code. You can edit, upload, update, whatever. Save. His name's a lot lower now. That's where it should be. So, we got a functioning avatar, but it has no animations yet. It doesn't do any actions, it doesn't do any states, it just stands there menacingly. We can even wear it in the room. There he is. He's in the game, he's working. So, we're doing good so far. We've done all of this. Nice and simple. Now what's left is animation, the big scary part. So you got your character made and rigged and all that, and he's in the default. In a state default. So what we want to do now is actually animate him. I'm just going to delete that. We don't need that on the side anymore. So there he is. He's standing on the line. That's his hotspot. We can leave this here. So we want to start animating him. So we're going to give him a, let's say a 60 frame looping breathing animation. So we insert our frames. Nothing happens yet because we haven't repositioned him yet. So we got 60 frames, and then we want to go 30 frames as well. Keyframes. So he's breathing. He's just standing there breathing. So we're gonna move him a little bit. So his head goes up, face goes up. Maybe his arms will go like that a little bit. Cool. So if you go to control loop playback, hit the enter key. He'll just stand there doing like a frame by frame, 2-frame animation thing. But what I want to do, I want to make that smoother. And I'm going to get Flash to make it nice and smooth for me. So I'm going to highlight all of these frames. I'm going to right click and turn it into a classic tween. What a classic tween does is all of these in-between frames, between the keyframes, are going to be animated for me. So if I play now, it eases, it does like all the in-between frames, so it's smooth and, you know, I don't have to do all this frame by frame. It's doing it for me. So he's just standing there, smoothly breathing, inhaling, exhaling. Nice and simple breathing. So now, we've got an animated avatar on our hands. Some fun things you can do with your easing. With your classic tween. If you highlight the ones that are not the keyframes, you can go into the properties and mess with the tweening. What I like to play with is easing. So if right now it's just set to classic ease. So it's just straightforward up and down with his arms and breathing. If we do like, say, hold on, let me select it again. If we make it ease in, so classic ease, you can either put it to 100 or negative 100. It messes with this this curvature, so it like, how do I explain this? So if it was on 0, you see it's a straight line. It doesn't speed up or slow down. But if you put it to like easing in, it speeds up and then slows down a little bit. It speeds up faster at the start of the animation. Or if you have it on out, it eases out, so it's fast at the start and it slows down at the end. And then end like the opposite, where it's, you know, yeah. So I'm not very good at explaining this, but I know how it works in my head. So I'm just going to show you an example. So if we just leave it at 0, you could just watch how it is. It's easier to see it than to explain it. So if I put that to in, and then put this one to out, you can see how it zooms up and then bounces back down. So it zooms up with the in, zooms out with the out. There's also different options where you can do it in and out. It's just messing around, really. It's all fun and games. There we go. Look how nice and smooth that is with the in and out easing. It's very smooth. So if we want, we can upload that again with that new animation. Edit, upload, example. Wait for it to do its thing. There he is. He's breathing. He's alive. But he still doesn't walk though. He breathes. He stands in the right position. But he doesn't walk. So that's what we're going to do next. So let me just go through my, see what we've got so far. So I explained all about this stuff. You can pause it and read anytime you want. I'm just skimming through it because I know what it says. So I'm talking about the in-between frames. Talking about how you can do it frame by frame if you want, instead of using the tweening. So we're here. We're on this bit. We're near the end. So we need to add the walking animation. So we take the default, we duplicate it, we change its name, so it's default walking with an underscore there. Then what we do, we delete the animation on the duplicated one that says walking now. Just to, you want to make sure you get rid of the tweening when you do this. So you can either remove the classic tween, add it back, so it's not going to mess with the animation. You can delete all this. So he's ready to be animated again, but this time he's going to be walking. So how do you animate walking? That's for you to study and decide, but I'm going to do a very basic one. Because it's very tedious and walking's not the easiest thing to animate or to teach or whatever. You're just going to have to experiment and just like learn and observe how walking works and then figure out how it works on the timeline. It's hard to explain. I'm not very good at explaining stuff, but I can show you how I would do it on here for this basic tutorial. So, since he's walking, his legs are going to be slightly more apart. And he's going to be returning to that position. So, I'm just going to make it 20 frames for the entire loop. So, he's standing there with his legs slightly apart now, like he's made a step. And then in the middle, I'm gonna add more keyframes, and I'm gonna make it the opposite, so he's on the opposite like pose, I guess. So you got the tween in there still, so you can see the feet going like that. So in between these, if he was actually walking, you would lift your foot up, right? So, whoa, he's taking a step. Whoa. And then you got to do the other foot. There you go, look, he's walking. You gotta make his arms move as well. So this arm would be forwards, this one would be back. What you can do is highlight all of these, copy, and paste it at the end, so it's the exact same as the start. And then move his arms a bit more. Look, he's walking and wiggling his arms. How nice. Look at him go. I'm going to make it a little bit more interesting though. I'm going to add more frames. More frames. I'm doing this quite quick, but hopefully you're picking up what I'm putting down. So this foot, you don't need this frame, because that's just going to be sliding all the way to there without being interrupted. I'm going to do the same on this frame. So here, he's lifting his leg up. So when you walk, you might sway left or right, or you might bounce a little bit. So we can make him step and have his body move up a little bit. I'll do the same on the other. There we go. He's got a bounce to a step now. He's walking. He's doing it. You can even add the easings onto these as well. So this would be in. I don't want to put easing on the foot though. I don't want to put easing on the foot because it will look like it's ice skating or something. It'll look weird. And basically when you walk around, your foot wants to stay still. The foot you're putting your weight on to push forwards, that wants to stay still instead of sliding. So you don't really want to put ease on the feet, because it will slip and slide. But everything else you can put ease on it if you want. So I'm just going to do that. So all these are going to be out. These are in. Easing is a very good cheat code for clean, smooth animation. There you go. Look, he's got more of a... How do I explain that? You can see the difference. If we go back to the first time I tested it to how it is now, you can see the difference with the easing that I put on it. Oh, the lines are flashing in the background. It's kind of annoying, so let's just add the frames to that so they don't keep flashing. There we go. So he's animated, and it's got smooth easing on it. Let's see how that looks in the game. Publish. Edit. Upload. Example. So, he's breathing. And he can walk. Look at him go. Look at this monstrosity we made today. We made a living, breathing Kirby. It really is that simple. The hard part is just refining your skills with animation and the art. That's the worst part. But with time and effort, you'll get better. So, we got the default and we got the walking. What we can do now, we can make a transition. So there's a gap of, there's like a gap between the walking and the default, but we can bridge that gap with a transition. So if we do 2 walking, so we got default, then he's going to the walking position, and then he's walking. So I wanna copy these frames. And then I want to delete all these. Don't need these. And then paste. You can see he's getting into the walking position. Actually, we don't need that much. We can just... Boop. Delete those. It's all experimenting, you'll figure it out. Don't worry, I believe in you. So this is what the start of the default frames look like. And this is what the start of the walking frames look like. It's just making the in-between, the transition between the standing still and the walking. That's the in-between part. And you can also duplicate that. Do the from walking. So it's when he's stopped walking and he's standing still again. We can highlight the frames. We can reverse the frames. So it's like he's walking and he stops. And then it goes back to the default. It'll make sense when I play it in the game. So if we go in here. So we saw him walk, but now he has like a transition type state in between the walking and the standing still. So it's not just suddenly he's still, suddenly he's walking. There's like an in-between. So it's all nice and smooth, more natural, despite looking like that. That's the basics of the avatar anyway. You've got a drawing, you drew it, you made it animate, he can walk around, he stands where he should stand, you know, when you put your cursor and click. Very nice, very simple. That's basically the important stuff. So we did all of this. We've done that now. We've done all of this. So all that's left is just a few extra things I want to show you. So we've got the default state. But what if I want him to sit down, or what if I want him to hug, or what if I want him to dance? You make a new state. You call it, what should we make? We should make him sit down. So we duplicate the default again, delete the animations, delete the frames, tween. You pose him as if he's sitting down, you know, as he would. You know, yeah, there we go. Beautiful. He's sitting down now. And you put him back down on the line, so that's where the ground is. So he's sat down, all comfortable and happy. And then you do what you did for the default, where you turn it into a classic tween, or you can just have him not animated for the sitting down because, you know, he's relaxing. But I'm gonna make him animate a little bit. So we got the 60 frames again, and split that in half. And then we want to see where the ground is a second. There we go. So 30 frames in, we can have him rock a little bit. So he's like, you know, just going like that a little bit of animation to it. I can put my easing in. Oh, I just clicked off it by accident. We want the in and out. We want to do that for both sides. In and out. So he's just sat there rocking. So we got default and we got a sit. The sit does not have a walking yet, and it doesn't have any transitions. It's just sitting down. So if we publish that as it is, upload that. So we click on him now. We have two options. We have the default, and we can tell him to sit down, which we just made. So I click on sit, and then he's doing the sit animation because we put him in the sitting state. But he doesn't have a walk yet. You can either just leave it like that if you don't want him to walk whilst he's sitting, or you could duplicate the walk you've already made, rename it sit walking. So you've basically just copied and pasted the walking animation and tell it to use the walking animation for the sit state. I can quickly publish that again. Bing bada boom. Now he walks. Whilst he's sitting. He uses this animation here. Because I told it to use that animation. So, when you switch to the default and the sit, it just basically snaps to the different pose. If you don't want it to do that and you want it actually to transition to the sit, you type it out like this. You go default to sit. So he's already standing up, so that's his default. Right, so the frames where he's posed on his default. Then we copy the frames where he's sat down. Let's make it 5 frames long. You can just paste that in there. And then, oh, look, he's sitting down. He's got a transition to sit down. Very nice. And then you could duplicate that one again. Sit to default. So when he's going back to the default state, you can reverse the frames. So he's sitting down and then he stands up. So we got default, you can walk, you can go to sit down. He's currently sitting down. The animation that plays when he's walking, while sitting. Yeah. Easy, simple. Anyone can do that. Publish. Stuff, Kirby, edit, upload, Kirby. Yep. Boom. So now, there is a little animation between the sit down and the stand up. You can see it's not just snapping to it, it's doing like the little classic tween thing between the two things. You know what I'm saying, you know what I mean. You've done it all already now. So yeah, you got a working avatar. Pretty cool. Alright, so you got other things where he can go to sleep when you're inactive, or you can do like a random variant of the state where it's like got a certain percentage of it playing that version of the state. So let's do that. So I want a second default animation thing, so let's have it be like a 80% chance to be normal. And then a 20% chance of him blinking. So what I want to do, I want to mess around with the animations here. So I'm going to right click the face, I'm going to duplicate the face, face copy or face blink. Then we can go inside the face, which is now face blink. And then we could just, you know, make him look like he's blinking. You could do animations within symbols as well. It's all really the same sort of stuff, really. You just need a knowledge of how to do stuff in Flash. I'm showing you the avatar stuff, not not Flash itself. But yeah, he's got a blinking face now, that's what he looks like. We'll do that for like 5 frames. And then we'll swap it back. So for this frame, he's blinking. For this one, he's back to normal. For the rest of it, he's all normal. It's just for 5 frames, he's using this face. Let's have a quick look to see what that looks like. So there's a 20% chance he'll blink every loop. So if you just sit there and watch his face, there's a chance he'll blink. Just gotta wait for it. Wait for it. There he goes. He just blinked. So every time the animation loops, Flash basically throws like a dice or something and gives you a 20% chance that it might swap the symbol to the blinking. Well, not swap the symbol, but a 20% chance to play this version of the default state, I mean. If that makes sense. So, 80% chance he's just normal staring. 20% chance he'll play all of this. So now what we can do, another little extra thing. If you go idle in the game, your name tag goes grey, as if you're sleeping. So we put default sleeping, and then we make him a new face again. Duplicate face. Sleeping. And then we can edit all the frames, highlight all of them, click on the face, swap, swap. Make sure all the faces in the timeline are using sleeping. So inside the face sleeping, we make him sleepy. We'll give him a new mouth. There you go. Wait a minute. That doesn't look suspicious. Don't mind me. There you go. He's got a sleeping face. So he's standing there. He fell asleep. Let's see what that looks like. So if we stand here and not move, our name will go grey and he'll fall asleep. But what you can do in the preview menu, you can click this little test idle animation. There you go. Look, you can see his little face. It's turned into the sleeping face when he goes asleep, and then when he's active again, he goes back to normal. See, he's sleeping. I think that's about everything now. I told you about the hotspot. I told you about all these extra things. That's it. That's all I've got for you. You've now created a Kirby, or whatever you wanted, with a different state. So he can walk, he can sit, he can fall asleep, he can blink every now and then. And that's the basics of making an avatar for Whirled. I hope this was helpful, and I hope you go on to make many wonderful things for the game Whirled. Enjoy and have fun. Bye bye.